Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren is here. Her latest book is called This Fight is Our Fight, The Battle to Save America's Middle Class. In it, she accuses the government of working for the wealthy and corporations at the expense of everyday Americans. Senator Warren, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Let me ask with a broad question about what has happened in Washington in terms of the attack, as well as what happened at the game last night. Is it possible, is it likely that somehow something very positive can come out of this?
Well, it is always possible. We are human beings, and this is what we hope for. And it is our job in Washington, Republican and Democrat and Independent. We are supposed to be there to try to make this a better country.
So what will you do?
Well, I'm going to stay in the fight I'm in, and that is to try to make this government work better for middle-class families, for working-class families, for the working poor, for everybody who just needs a chance to get ahead.
And it doesn't depend, and that's not a question of what party you're in, that's a question of what values you hold?
I think that's exactly right, because I think this is about values, and it really is about a sense of what is the job of government? Where is it we're trying to head? You know, there was a time when everything pretty much that happened in Washington was filtered through the lens of, does it help build a middle class? Does it help create opportunity for kids like me? I'm the daughter of a janitor who got a chance to go to college because America was investing in opportunities. Went to a college that cost $50 a semester. 1935 to 1980, GDP goes up, and the 90% of America, everybody participates in growth. They get 70% of all the new income growth. 1980 forward, it just doesn't happen. The 90% doesn't participate in that growth. All of the growth goes to the top 10%. That's not right.
You say that nobody who works full-time should live in poverty.
Yeah.
Yet they do.
And yet they do. That's exactly right. And you know, I'm somebody who lived this very personally. When I was 12 and my daddy had a heart attack, and my mom had been a stay-at-home mom, my three brothers are off in the military. We'd been a paycheck-to-paycheck family, and boy, when that paycheck disappears, you learn pretty fast what that means. I remember the day we'd lost our car, we're about to lose our house, and my mom pulls on her best dress and walks to the Sears and gets a minimum wage job. And that minimum wage job saved our house, and it also saved our family. But here's the deal. Back when I was a kid, a minimum wage job would support a family of three. And the reason for that was because of the laws that were written in Washington. Today, a minimum wage job won't support a mama and a baby, won't let someone working full-time rent a two-bedroom apartment anywhere in America. And the reason for that is because the minimum wage is now set in Washington with an eye on the profitability of McDonald's, the profitability of Walmart, not on what it takes a family to survive.
The passion that you feel for your position, the other side also feels the same passion, and they say part of the problem with this, part of the cause rather of this shooting was the heated rhetoric on both sides, that people were so angry. And so there was so much acrimony in this country and so much hatred. Do you think that the dialogue that we're having needs to be toned down on both sides? Do you think that contributed to the shooting that happened the other day?
I think that we all have to take responsibility for what we say. But do understand, there's a lot where we try to continue to work together. It doesn't catch the headlines in the same way. Just this week, I have introduced 3 different bills this week. One is to increase pay for our enlisted military, and that's with Joni Ernst from Iowa, Republican from Iowa. Susan Collins, Republican from Maine, and I have introduced the Jessica Kinski and Patrick Downs bill to give domestic victims of terrorism access to military hospitals and to the help that they need. You know, we're continuing.
Well, that's
to
the kind of thing that should appeal to both Republicans and Democrats, isn't it?
But is that a bad thing, Charlie?
No, I'm saying
yes.
No one says anything is bad.
No,
but the
but
point
I'm just
is
saying,
that
you bet it is.
who could be against that?
But there was a time in America when the idea that someone working 40 hours a week ought to be able to support a family also appealed to Republicans and Democrats, and that's what's changed in
Is it fair to
Washington.
go ahead? Then I'll-
Can we ask you, you mentioned hospitals. What's happening with the health care bill, right? Because you mentioned there, you should be talking, not a lot of people are talking about the Senate health care bill right
You know,
now.
it is absolutely the right question to ask when we're talking about bipartisanship. Right now, the Senate Republican leadership has 13 men locked behind doors negotiating what they're going to do on a health care bill, won't let Democrats in the room to
The president
even
did say
see
the House bill
bill
was mean.
Well, that's the same bill that he threw the party for right after it passed. I mean, we need to be able to see this bill, not to decide a month later that it's mean after it becomes law. And yet the Republicans won't let the Democrats in. And here's the thing. This is a bill that's going to touch every American family. Everybody who's got an elderly relative in a nursing home, everybody who has a child with special needs. These cuts to Medicaid will touch millions of families. It's going to touch
sorry to
everybody with
interrupt you,
private
but-
health care. Yes.
It's good to have you here, but we've got
It is good to
time
see
demand.
you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you
good to
very
be
much,
here.
Senator Warren.